Hi everyone, welcome to another Table Talk. So just before I get into the meat of it, today's video, I just wanted to say thank you to those few folks that have reached out to me. It's been a few weeks, or I think at least since I've posted a video. I just needed to take a bit of a break. Sometimes I get almost burned out a little bit doing all this stuff. So I just needed to take a little time and get my mojo back, and also enjoy kind of the last couple weeks of summer here in North America. So anyway, thank you very much for your concern, but I'm happy to report all's good. All right, so just let's get right into the meat of the video today. I want to talk about my initial thoughts about the Turnigy Plush32 40 amp speed controller that I recently purchased from Hobby King, as well as the Plush32 series programming card. So the speed controller is cheaper than the original Turnigy Plush. This one here, which I've been using for probably 5 or 6 years. I've had thousands of flights on it, done all kinds of testing with different timing settings, all that sort of stuff. So it's all these numbers are in US funds and from the global Hobby King global warehouse. So it's $21.36. Currently, the original plush is $24.39. However, it's been out of stock for a very, very long time. So I'm assuming that the old plush line is on its way out. The programming card costs $7.60 US, and if you want to use a programming card for the Plush32, you must buy this card, because it's not compatible with this old card that is compatible with the old Turnigy Plush. Okay, compared to, you can see side by side here, it is bigger, quite a bit longer than the old Plush by, I would say, well, just the body of it probably by about 5 millimeters. Yeah, about 5 or 6 millimeters. It does have a much bigger heat sink underneath the label here, but it does weigh 10 grams more. It's 10 grams heavier than this one. Now, I could have trimmed these wires off probably a little bit. The battery lead's pretty long, as well as these leads that go to the motor. I probably could have trimmed those off a little bit. It looks like they have used a bit heavier gauge wire that goes from the speed controller into the receiver. So that may all add up to the extra 10 grams. Excuse me. It does have, as is labeled, a 5.5 volt, 5 amp S-Spec, which I'm assuming is a switching BEC. The old Plush is a 3 amp, 5 volt BEC, and I think it's a linear BEC. I'm not sure if linear and switching no, S-Spec would be switching BEC. This was a linear in the old Plush. I'm assuming S-Spec is switching BEC anyway. If anybody has more thoughts on that, please leave your comments down below. I've never had a problem ever with the Plush, running 6 servos with the BEC in the original Plush. So I'm hoping, touch wood, I won't have any problems with power to my receiver and my servos with the new Plush32. Okay, documentation is somewhat lacking and confusing. There's currently not any real great information on the website. When you look, I know sometimes people upload files. The only paperwork I have is this Plush32 series ESC manual, and I apologize, I think it came with the ESC, and I'm not sure why, but they packaged it in this really quite heavy box, a cardboard box, which will be handy, I'm guessing, for some other goodies, but that added quite a bit of size and weight to the shipping. Most of these Plush ones have just come in a almost like a gray plastic package envelope. Anyway, minor stuff. So some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about here is obviously just based on pure observation and fact, and other is maybe a bit of my opinion. Obviously, I have a lot of experience with the old Plush, and yet no experience at all. I haven't even done any bench testing with the new Plush32. There is no burst rating published. The old Plush has a burst rating of 55 amps. There's no burst rating published for this. I left a question in the community discussion portion on the Hobby King website asking specifically what the burst rating was. Probably 2 months ago. I still haven't received an answer. This manual is very, very generic. It talks about mostly just things to do with the entire line of Plush32, not anything specific about this. It does show a picture of the programming card, but it doesn't really tell you what any of these settings do. So I guess you'll have to do some experimenting. The translation from, I'm assuming, originally Chinese is not the best I've seen. So sometimes when I'm reading through it, it is a bit confusing. So yeah, you want to read through that carefully. All right. Okay, one thing I did notice, it does say in the write-up, underneath where they list all the specs, it says PWM output frequency range is 8 to 24 kilohertz. Different PWM frequencies can be set by programming card. And I'm quoting directly from the specifications on the Hobby King website. There is no setting here, specific setting that I can see or understand, unless they're calling it something different. That allows me to believe I can adjust the pulse width modulation frequency. So that's a bit of a fail. With respect to the programming card, if you're used to using this old card, the plug here, or the outlet where you plug the ESC in, up here in this corner, is reversed compared to here. So, normally with this card, you always plug it so that the ground or the black is on the very outside. With this one, it's different, and you have to be careful. These wires are very close in color, as you can see there. But the darkest, it's sort of a light brown color, is the ground. So when you plug it in, make sure that you've got it in the right orientation, because it's reversed from this old Turnigy Plush card. Okay, the throttle calibration is written on this manual, and I apologize, goodness, I think that this came with the speed controller, not the programming card. I seem to remember the programming card came with no documentation whatsoever. But there is somebody, I think, has taken a picture of this on the Hobby King website. So to set the throttle calibration, it's the same as any other. Let me see if I can find a motor here. How about this? How about this sexy motor here that I'm waiting to test? And what did I do with my speed controller here, or my receiver? Okay, here we go. Plug that in. Okay, so as usual, you fire up your transmitter, advance the throttle to full. Now it only beeps twice, telling you that it recognizes the high end. So I'm going to try and hold this up, and then you chop it, and there it's ready to go. So you get essentially three sets of 2 beeps. So you get the 2 beeps that tells you that it's at the top, that it recognizes that you're at the top, 2 beeps that recognizes you're at the bottom, and then 2 more beeps telling you that the speed controller is ready. With this old Turnigy Plush and many other speed controllers that I've used, it actually will, when it recognizes that it's been calibrated, it will run through the normal initialization sequence. So let's just do this. It also is a bit different when you're just plugging it in. It doesn't play a whole kind of a tune like a lot of speed controllers do. So 3 beeps and then followed by 2 beeps, and that's telling you now that the motor's ready to go. It doesn't play kind of like a little bit of a tune like this Turnigy, the old Turnigy Plush does. Okay, so let's unplug that for now. Okay, so I'm going to run through what the factory defaults are before I sort of show you the programming card. So factory defaults, and I found this out by plugging in the card, and I'll show you the card doesn't, make sure I got the orientation plugged in okay. Now I'll try and hold this up so you can see it. So the motor kind of chirps. Alright, so you probably saw there that red light stayed on, and then it sort of ran down the side here, and now, so what this is showing me, this is my cutoff mode. I'm not 100% sure what that is. It shows that I'm at slow down, and it detects that I'm using a LiPo battery. Now, different than this programming card where all these little circles are actual lights, what happens is as you scroll down the side using the button over here, then the light at the top here moves to the appropriate column. So here I am at and this, I find this very hard to read because the big red light sort of cuts off or blurs out the actual text here. So this is cutoff voltage. So the default is 3.2 volts. I'll probably adjust that up to 3.3. So I'll just do that to demonstrate. And it doesn't. There's no on this one when you press OK. There's a little light right here that tells you that it's connected. If you don't connect the motor, like when I'll press this now, the motor beeps. That tells you if you don't have a motor connected, there's no indication that things have connected. So lithium cells, it actually allows you to adjust between 2 and 14 cells, which I'm assuming, you know, as you get up into the 100 plus, or right now I just have it set at auto, so I'll leave it at auto. It's over here. Okay, so that's lithium cells. I'm not sure why they need 2 rows there, why you would just not have it set to auto for all of them. I don't really know, but that's probably above my expertise. Cutoff temperature, you can set anywhere from off 90 degrees Celsius up to 140. That's default, so I'm going to leave it at default. Timing, it's set at 18 degrees of timing. You can set 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, or then just leave it on auto. So once I get bench testing this, I'll experiment and see if that has any effect. And then brake to off, which I always fly with my brake off. And then the last 2 are the default here is throttle startup. Yeah, startup power. Again, it's really hard to read these the text there with that big red light blurring it out. At 25% is what the startup power is, and then this bottom part is auto rotation reset, which I'm assuming is probably for a helicopter, and it's showing 20s, which I'm assuming is 20 seconds. So yeah, so you have to kind of play around with it a little bit. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really that fussy about this programming card. I'm also not very fussy about the fact that you have to buy this card if you want to change anything other than the brake or throttle, throttle calibration, which you don't ever normally do with a card anyway. Yeah, so there we go. So yeah, I just need to do the bench testing, see how things go. Like I said, I'm going to start off with, other than the cutoff voltage, which I like to have at 3.3. Most speed controllers, the default cutoff voltage or low voltage cutoff is at 3.3 volts, so that you don't run your battery down a little bit lower. You can actually set it as high as 3.5 if you really want to make sure, but I find 3.3 is what I'm used to. I didn't mention it's good for 2 to 6S, which I think the original Plush, yeah, the original Plush was good for 2 to 6S as well. So yeah, so just those are my initial impressions based here on the bench. You know, maybe because it's a brand new product, I don't know, but I'm finding that there's lacking, information lacking, primarily the burst rating, which has me concerned. You know, whether I'm going to be able to ever run this on 4S or anything like that with motors that I used. It would be nice to know that. So I'll have to do some gentle testing at the field and see how you know, how it responds to high amp draw. Really be nice if we had more you know, documentation on what's on this single sheet, and also, you know, maybe some information on what all of these numbers on this programming card mean, so that you know don't set it up incorrectly or guessing. I guess the only way to do it is, you know, to sit down with, you know, if you have a thrust stand and experiment with it. I really wish that they would have kept it so that, you know, you could still do it by using the transmitter. You know, having this programming card, certainly with the old style Plush, was a very handy tool to have because it allowed you to do things a lot quicker. But, you know, for those of us, you know, that are on a budget, it's much easier to, you know, be able to do it with the transmitter if need be. And I'm actually just looking here. So this card supports 6 amp to 150 amp, 2 to 8S. So I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why this card would have 2 to 14 on the lithium cells. That's just it's just confusing. Anyway, so there's my initial impressions of the Turnigy Plush32 40 amp speed controller. Like I said, I'll get busy in the coming days and weeks doing some bench testing, seeing how it responds, how the motors perform, and then of course take it out to the field and see where the rubber hits the road. So thanks very much for watching. Please check out the video description down below. I'll have links to all of these the 2 programming cards and the 2 speed controllers that I discussed in this video. So blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise. The other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.